the first item, we need to examine the evidence. Does God exist or not? So there are three arguments for the existence of God. The first one, what we call the cause argument. What causing? Cause argument. The second one, the design argument. And the last one is the moral argument. So let's focus on the first one, the cause argument. Another word for cause argument is cosmological. Cosmos, you know the word cosmos, which means the universe. So the universe or cosmos exists and therefore must be explained. And very simple, everything needs an explanation or a cause. That's why they call it the cause argument. Everything needs an explanation or a cause. So in summary, the cause argument is argument for the existence of God, sometimes called the cosmological argument. It is developed by St. Thomas Aquinas. St. Thomas Aquinas was born in 1225, 1225, and he lived only about 48 years. He didn't live very long, and he was Catholic, and he was considered by the Catholic Church as a saint, St. Thomas Aquinas. And what he said is that everything is caused by something else. Something cannot come from nothing. The universe exists and began to exist, so it too must have a cause. There must have been something to start off everything else. God is the first cause, the unmoved, and he called it the unmoved mover. He is the mover, but nobody can move him. He has always existed, eternal. Therefore, God exists. So, we'll talk more about this premise. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. There is a cause for everything that exists. And we'll elaborate on that. So whatever begins to exist has a cause. The law of cause and effect states that every material effect must have an adequate cause. I have a cup of almond milk here. I don't have any stock for almond milks, but so somebody had to bring it to me, right? It just didn't happen. Material effects without adequate causes do not exist. Imagine with me, we are sitting here and all of a sudden a cat jumped on the table. You will ask, where this cat came from? Oh, well, it happened. Just think happened. So the cat just happened to be here. No, there must be a cause. So maybe somebody left the door here and the cat came in and jumped. Or maybe a hole in the ceiling and the cat came from the ceiling. Or maybe one of you is a magician and, you know, he brought a cat out of his sleeve. Or somebody is seeing something or seeing things and we call it hallucination. Like this poor lady, her name is Auntie Berta. Always complains that the cats kept locking her out of the house. And the cats are saying the weird part was that she had no cats. But it's all in her mind. And that's what we call hallucination. In a hallucination, you see things that they don't exist, or you hear voices without anybody talking to you. Those are hallucinations. And hallucination come in all kinds of forms. And maybe one of those cats will have how many eyes here? 6 eyes or something. That's hallucination. Or things don't just pop into existence for no reason at all. And maybe there is supernatural causes for it. So the bottom line is there must be a cause for something. The cat will not come and just, hey, I am here. No. We have to explain where this came from. So the existence of something had to be caused by something else. And that's what we call the cause argument. So the first point is that we finish what begins to exist has a cause. The second premise, the universe began to exist. How do you like this theory about atheism? People denying God. To believe that there was nothing and nothing happened to nothing, and then nothing magically exploded for no reason, creating everything, and then a bunch of everything magically rearranged itself for no reason whatsoever into self-replicating bits, which then turned into dinosaurs. Makes perfect sense. Does it? Then we have Dr. Robert Jastrow. He is, pay attention, he is agnostic, doubt there is enough evidence for God. He is an astronomer and leading NASA scientist. What did he say? He says the creation of matter out of nothing would violate the principle of the conservation of matter and energy, which states that matter and energy can be neither created nor destroyed. Matter can be converted into energy and vice versa, but the total amount of all matter and energy in the universe must remain unchanged forever. It is difficult to accept a theory that violates such a firmly established scientific fact. And this really reply for the people who believe in this Big Bang theory. So Dr. Robert Jastrow is an American astronomer, physicist, agnostic. He says that scientists have no proof that life was not the result of an act of creation. Yeah? And he is a scientist. That's the conclusion he came to. And also he said, for the scientist who has lived by his faith, and the faith of the scientist is what? Is science. Who has lived by his faith in the power of reason, the story ends like a bad dream, because he cannot get to, how this universe came about. He has scaled the mountains of ignorance, jumping on the mountain, step by step, but of ignorance. He is about to conquer the highest peak. As he pulls himself over the final rock, he is greeted by a band of theologians who have been sitting there for centuries. Meaning that with all his research, those people who are scientists, they eventually will come to the same conclusion that theologian has been knowing the conclusion for centuries. Everybody knows Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking, a British famous physicist and cosmologist and atheist also. He lived from 1942 and he just passed away last year, 2018. He suffered from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or ALS or Lou Gehrig disease. And this disease happens that I saw a man who has the same disorder, this Lou Gehrig disease, and is very, very sad. It affects all the muscles of the body, and the brain is as sharp as it can be. And finally, these people die from, they cannot breathe because those muscles also will stop working. And is a motor neuron disease. One of the things he said, I have no idea people who boast about their IQ are losers. Something to remember. Yeah. Okay, what did he say? He has a book called Brief History of Time. And he says the conclusion is that the universe had not existed forever. And that's a very important point. People who don't believe in God, it's very easy to say, well, you know, the universe had been here forever and will continue to be. And we'll try to answer this question eventually. So he says the conclusion of that the universe has not existed forever. Rather, the universe and time itself had a beginning. So that's a very important point, that the universe had a beginning, had a start. There is a point of start here, beginning. About 15 billion years ago, I developed a new set of mathematical techniques that shows that the universe must have had a beginning. For that, one would have to appeal to God. If there is a beginning, something started that universe to begin with. Although, as I say, you know, he's atheist, but I wonder if towards the end of his timing, he started to believe, well, there is no other explanation other than a creator. Also, he said you cannot understand the glories of the universe without believing there is some supreme power behind it. So premise 2, that the universe began to exist, was not here forever and ever. No, it had a beginning. Even it had been billions of years, but it had a beginning. Another professor of physics and director of the Institute of Cosmology at Tufts University in the US, he is a theoretical physicist. Alexander Velikan has been working in the field of cosmology for 25 years. He said, all the evidence we have indicates that the universe had a beginning. And that's important for the people who deny their belief in God, to convince them that the universe had a beginning. Because the most comfortable position for the person who does not believe in God is the idea that the universe has always been here and will always be here. This way they can avoid not only considering the problem of a beginning or an ending, but also the need for any first cause. Because if the universe had been here forever, then there is no reason to have a cause for it. You know, the cat had been here forever, so I don't have to find a cause for this cat. Modern science recognizes the universe is not eternal. It has a beginning and it will have an end, because everything that has a beginning will have an end. So now we cover two premises. The first one, whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, so the universe has a cause. And that's the third, or the conclusion. So if the universe did not create itself out of nothing, nor was it eternal, then it must have been brought into existence by someone. And this someone is a creator who created the universe. This creator is referred to as the first cause that brought everything else into existence. So the universe has a cause. It's like, you know, a railroad train. All the cars that are that are moving, they are not moving by themselves, because there is, at the beginning, something you know, pulling them. So that's the cause and the effect that life is going on, because there is a beginning and somebody created that train, or, you know, that the first part of the train, the machine. And this will take us back to Aristotle. And as you can see, he was in 322 before Christ. And what he said, even then he thought of it. The first cause is what Aristotle referred to as the unmoved mover, like the train. But, you know, unmoved mover, there is a mover that nobody can move, or a creator who nobody can create. And the unmoved mover causes all the motion in the universe, but is not itself moved by any prior action.